Welcome to Nature Academy. My name is Dr. Sheikh Ahmed. So this is our second lecture, and in this lecture we will study the particle nature of radiation. So particle nature of radiation can be confirmed by many experiments, one of them being a photoelectric effect. If you want second one, I can give an example of Compton effect, pair production. So in this lecture we will study about photoelectric effect. Okay, so the photoelectric effect is a direct confirmation of particle nature of radiation. I can see the particle nature of a wave also. So to give introduction about myself, I am a doctorate from University of Hyderabad. I finished my PhD in theoretical physics. I have qualified UGC, CSR, JRF and also GATE. I have 8 years of teaching experience. For more details on the quantum mechanics, you can log into our website www.natureacademy.in. You can follow on Twitter, Facebook, and you can also join our WhatsApp group. So this is our second lecture. So for first lecture, the first lecture is about black body radiation. You can find in our website or you can in YouTube also. So let us move on to the today's topic. The particle nature of radiation can be explained by these effects. One is black body radiation, photoelectric effect, Compton effect, and pair production and pair annihilation. Okay, so let us discuss some few interesting things about photoelectric effect. In 1887, Heinrich Hertz discovered the photoelectric effect. What is photoelectric effect? Electrons were observed to be ejected from the metals when irradiated with light. Okay, so he gave an experimental proof for this one. Next, there is another scientist, Philip Leonard. He gave an experimental laws of photoelectric effect. So he gave three laws. They are very important in describing the particle nature of radiation. The third one, in 1905, Einstein got Nobel Prize for this photoelectric effect. Of course, Henry gave the experimental proof. Leonard Philip gave the experimental laws for photoelectric effect. But in 1905, Einstein got Nobel Prize for this effect. So Einstein just followed the Planck's radiation principle. So what is Planck's radiation principle? The energy of any radiation will be in terms of quantas only. So the discrete energy will be there. The energy exchange between atom and matter is in the form of integral multiples. Like I can say that NH nu. Einstein used that concept and he gave a theoretical explanation for the photoelectric effect. For that, he got Nobel Prize. So photoelectric effect gives a direct confirmation for the energy quantization of light. So the emission of electrons from metal surface when illuminated by light of suitable frequency is known as photoelectric effect. So here I want to discuss some properties of photons. So what are the properties of photons? The first property is the rest mass of photon is 0, charge of photon is 0. This photon is chargeless particle, and quantum number also 0. So if you want to write quantum number, the quantum, what is the quantum number? Quantum number may be lepton number, baryon number. Okay, so that is also 0. And fourth point, no effect of electric field and magnetic field on photon. No effect of electric field and magnetic field on photon. So when photon passes through electric and magnetic field, it will not change its direction. It will not deviate from its path. If you take electron, the electron will change its direction. So F is equals to BQV formula is there, right? So there will be a force acting on electron if it is moving through electric and magnetic field. Since it is a massive particle, so therefore definitely there will be, electron is a massive particle and charged particle. So then there will be a force acting on electron. Whereas in photons, there is no effect of electric and magnetic field. And photon is characterized by energy E, which is equals to P into C. So where P is the momentum of photon, photon do not obey Pauli's exclusive principle. So what is Pauli's exclusive principle? Pauli's exclusive principle states that no two atoms can occupy same state, but photon can occupy, many number of photon can occupy same states. So Pauli's exclusive principle failed in case of photons. So next, what is the spin of photon? Electron spin is half, you know that, right? Half integral spin. Whereas photon spin is 1. Those particles having integral spin like 1, 2, 3, 5 are known as bosons. So photon is a boson. Obey Bose-Einstein statistics. So they obey, photons obey Bose-Einstein statistics. Whereas electrons have half integral spin, they will follow the Pauli's exclusive principle, and they obey Fermi-Dirac distribution functions. Okay, so let us write another property of photon. Photon is stable, so parity is negative, that is -1. Parity of photon is -1. This is another property. And there is another important property I will write here. Photon has two states. Photon has two states. I can say that photon has two polarizations. One is horizontal polarization, other one vertical polarization. So these are the properties of photons. So when we have such type of photons, and when you incident the photon on a metal surface, electrons will be ejected. So this process is known as photoelectric effect. If I want to discuss photoelectric effect, first of all I will take one metal. So metals are, there are many type of metals: metals, alkaline earthy metals, transition metals. So here I will restrict my discussion to alkali metals. Alkali metals are first group elements. They have one valency electron, and the ionization energy of alkali metal is very low. What is ionization energy? The amount of energy required to remove the valency electron from the atom is known as ionization energy. Okay, if you take one atom in an alkali metal, so this is one representation of an atom with one valency electron. So these valence electrons revolves around the nucleus like this. The electron revolves around the nucleus like this. So in alkali metal there may be so many number of atoms, and these electrons, whatever be the valency electrons, they move freely inside to this metal. So the metals have metallic bond, and these electrons behave like gas molecules in the room, or you can say fish in the pond. How a fish moves inside the pond? They are free to move, right? So in the same way, these valency electrons are free to move inside the metal, and they will not come out of the metal surface because of the Coulombic attractive force between the metal ions and free electrons. So now consider a alkali metal which has some free electrons like this. If you shine this metal with some photons of energy H nu, then what happens? Photoelectrons are ejected. Some electrons are ejected. If you have 3 photons of suitable energy H nu, then I will get 3 electrons out. If I have four photons here, I can get 4 electrons out. If I n number of photons, n electrons will come out, provided that the energy of the photon H nu will satisfy some equation. So what is that? Here H nu is what? The energy of the incident photon. What is half mv square? The kinetic energy of the electrons. Photoelectron, I can call these electrons as photoelectrons. Okay. So incident energy is H nu. Electrons are getting some kinetic energy, that is half mv square. Then what is in between these two? So there is some other factor H nu 0. So this H nu 0 is known as your work function of the metal. So energy of the photon H nu is converting into kinetic energy of the electron plus the work function. So the work function is the minimum energy required to eject the electron from the metal surface. Different metals have different work functions. So Einstein gave this expression H nu is equals to H nu naught plus half mv square by 2. For this theoretical explanation, he got Nobel Prize. Prior to Einstein, Hertz in 1887, he confirmed that there may be a photocurrent. Current means what? Movement of electrons is nothing but current, right? So there will be a photocurrent if the incident photons have some energy, which is greater than work function. So he gave experimental values, but Einstein gave theoretical support. That's what he got Nobel Prize. Einstein have so many inventions, like your special theory of relativity, mass energy relation mc square, and stimulated emission, Brownian motion. Many things he have discovered, right? But he got Nobel Prize for his theoretical explanation of this photoelectric effect. So there are 3 conditions. The first condition, when the incident photon energy is H nu is greater than H nu naught. What is H nu? Incident of photon energy. H nu naught is the work function. So work function of the metal is the minimum amount of energy required to eject the electron. This is just like binding energy of an atom. Okay. When H nu is greater than H nu naught, then only electrons get ejected, and electrons will have some kinetic energy in this case. So this is the required case to observe the photoelectric effect. Okay. So next, when H nu is equals to H nu naught, that means incident photons have energy equals to the work function. You will not get any electrons ejected from the metal surface. Simply the metal absorbs that photon, and electrons will not come out of the surface, or electrons will not possess any kinetic energy. Simply the metal gets heated. And the third one, if H nu is less than H nu naught, what is H nu? Photon energy less than the work function. No electrons get ejected, whatever be the number of photons. Number of photons is nothing but intensity of photons. Whatever be the intensity of the photon. If H nu is less than H nu naught, no electrons get ejected. I can write in other words, if nu is less than nu naught, the frequency of incident photon is less than the nu naught. Nu naught is nothing but threshold frequency. Threshold frequency of a given metal. If the incident frequency is less than the threshold frequency, no electrons can get ejected from the metal surface. So these are the three laws given by Leonardo Philip. But he did not get anything. He did not get any Nobel Prize for his this. Let us have some discussion on the definitions. First one is work function. What is work function? The minimum energy required to eject the electrons from the metal surface. So this is one thing. Different metals have different work functions. You should remember this one. Different metals have different work functions. So the work function for the platinum is highest, and for the cesium is the lowest. Or ionization energy for cesium is less, ionization energy for platinum is high. We can say in that other way. Threshold frequency is defined as the minimum frequency required to eject the electrons from the metal surface. Threshold frequency is minimum frequency. What is the relation between frequency and wavelength? 1 by lambda, right? Frequency is inversely proportional to the lambda. So V naught, lambda naught, I want to write here. If you define threshold frequency as the minimum frequency required to eject the electrons from the metal surface, how will you define lambda naught? Then the lambda naught will be the maximum wavelength required to eject the electron from the metal surface. So here it is. Threshold wavelength is the maximum wavelength required to eject the electrons from the metal surface. So here I have another important question. You can get these questions in your exams. H nu naught is work function, threshold frequency, threshold wavelength depend on the nature of the metal only. They are independent of the frequency and the intensity of incident light energy. So these three are metal properties. They are not anywhere related to incident light. So this is we discussed earlier. That is, if nu is less than nu naught, no electrons can be emitted regardless of the radiation intensity, whatever be the intensity. For example, the work function of the metal is will be written in electron volts, this much, and incident photon energy is 0.2 electron volts. So can we get ejected electrons here? No, because the frequency nu is less than the work function. The energy of the photon is less than the work function. We will not get any electron. Now I will use two photons. Any electrons ejected here? No. Whatever be the number, you can increase 3 photons, 4 photons, 1000 photons of same energy. So here H nu is 0.2 only. That means you are increasing the intensity. Here intensity is low in the first case, second case, first case intensity is low. At this case, the intensity is maximum. Even intensity is maximum, no electron can be ejected since nu is less than nu naught. So this is very important. This type of questions you will get in your examinations. If nu less than nu naught, no electron can be emitted regardless of the radiation intensity. No matter how low the intensity of radiation, electrons will be ejected instantaneously if nu is greater than nu naught. If nu is more than nu naught, that means frequency of incident light is more than the threshold frequency. Intensity may be low, but you will get electrons. Okay, you can see the electrons getting ejected from the metal surface. Next, at fixed frequency, The number of ejected electrons increases with intensity of light but does not depend upon its frequency. So let us have a discussion on this topic. At a fixed frequency, let us say the fixed frequency is nu, the number of ejected electrons increases with intensity of the light but does not depend on its frequency. So the condition is if nu is greater than nu naught, then only electrons will be ejected. This is the primary condition. One photon will eject one electron, provided that nu is greater than nu naught. Two photons eject two electrons, and three photons will eject three electrons. N photons will eject n electrons. N electrons. That means if you increase the intensity, if you increase the number of photons, then the number of electrons ejecting will also increases. So electron is moving, so charge is E and it is moving with respect to time. Then E by T is what? E by T is nothing but current. So if you have one electron, the current will be something like E I. If you have two electrons, the current value will be increased. If you have three electrons, the current value will increase. If you have n electrons, and then you have in n multiple of I. That means what I am trying to say is if there are more number of electrons, current will be more. So when will you get more number of electrons? If there are more number of photons, you will get more number of electrons. More number of photons means what? More intensity. If the intensity is more, the current will be more. So this is the relation between the intensity and the current. Okay, at a fixed frequency, the number of ejected electron increases with the intensity. That means number of ejected electron increases with intensity means the current increases with intensity, and this current is independent on the frequency. The kinetic energy of the ejected electrons depends on the frequency but not on the intensity of the beam. I will come to this point later. The photoelectric current is proportional to the intensity of the incident radiation, and the speed of the electron depends on the frequency. We will discuss this one also. Okay, so this is our equation. H nu is equals to h nu naught plus Ke. So look at this expression here. I can write kinetic energy as h nu minus h nu naught. What is the formula for kinetic energy? That is half mv square, which is equals to h nu minus h nu naught. So I can say that the kinetic energy is dependent on frequency of the incident radiation, whereas h nu naught is the work function of the metal and it is fixed. Every metal has one work function, right? It will not change. H nu naught is fixed. So I can say that the kinetic energy is proportional to the frequency. The kinetic energy of the ejected electron depends on the frequency. And look at the expression. What is v square? V square is velocity. So I can write v square is also proportional to the frequency nu. The velocity is also proportional to the frequency. If frequency changes, the velocity of the ejected electron will change. So this is like a parabola, right? Y square is proportional to x. So if you remove the proportionality constant, you get y square is equals to 4ax. So this is a parabola. So y square is 4ax. The graph will be like this. If it is y-axis and this x-axis, you will have y square is equals to 4ax graph like this. Okay, so here my point is the velocity is dependent on frequency and the kinetic energy is also dependent on frequency. So look at this expression. Ke is equals to h nu minus h nu naught. This is just like your y is equals to mx plus c. So what is y? Kinetic energy is y. What is m? M is equals to h. What is h? X. X parameter is frequency, and what is c? Here c is minus h nu naught. So this is intercept, slope, and x coordinate and y coordinate. The equation for the straight line passing through origin is y is equals to mx. What is m? M is the slope of that line. So I can write this as delta by change in y by change in x. You can also write dy by dx. So this is the formula for slope. And this is a straight line passing through origin. So if we have an equation like y is equals to mx plus c, so this is a straight line making an intercept c. So you can see the graph y is equals to mx plus c. So where c is the intercept and m is again the slope of the curve. Here the m is will be like this, right? Next, y is equals to mx minus c. Now how will you write y is equals to mx minus c? Earlier, when y is equals to mx plus c, you have the positive slope. Now here we have y is equals to mx minus c. The graph will be shifted like this, negative intercept. And again the slope is m. So I want to put all the three graphs in one frame. You can have a clear picture of this straight line passing through origin and straight line making an intercept. First one is y is equals to mx. If it is y is equals to mx plus c, like this, y is equals to mx minus c, you can take this graph. So we have kinetic energy Ke in the form of h nu minus h nu naught, right? So I can take kinetic energy y-axis, h as my slope m, and nu as my x, and I can write c this one. So c is what? H nu naught. I want to make a similarity between the kinetic energy equation and a straight line making an intercept. Y is equals to mx minus c. So this is my m. Shall we draw this graph? Yes, this is the graph. So look at this one. What is y-axis? Kinetic energy. What is x-axis? Frequency nu. Then what will be the slope? So I will write here Ke as h nu minus h nu naught. So y is x, so kinetic energy is y, and this is my slope, and this is my c. So in your exam, sometimes he will ask, in a photoelectric effect, when you draw the graph between kinetic energy and frequency, the slope of the graph represents, he will give four options: work function, b potential energy, c slope of the graph, the Planck's constant, and D something different, that intensity. So what is the question here? If we plot the kinetic energy of ejected electrons as a function of frequency of the incident radiation, you will get a straight line. The slope of the straight line is, so what is the slope of the straight line? Simply the slope of the straight line is Planck's constant. You can see here. So this is Planck's constant, and it will make some intercept on this one. So the intercept value is h nu naught. H nu naught is the work function. So you can see the work function here. And how will you get this value? So on the x-axis at this place, the y coordinate is 0. That means kinetic energy is 0. So substitute here, kinetic energy is 0. And what will you get? H nu minus h nu naught. So from this you will get h nu is equals to h nu naught, and nu is equals to nu naught. The distance from the origin to the x-axis is nu naught. What is nu naught? So a nu naught is threshold frequency. So when you draw the kinetic energy versus frequency graph, the slope represents the Planck's constant, whereas the intercept on y-axis gives you the work function, and the intercept on x-axis is your threshold frequency. So this is the graph between photons and this is the graph between kinetic energy of the electrons and the photons. We don't have negative kinetic energy, so the permissible value of the kinetic energy will be up to this point only. So this is extended to get the work function value only, but we don't have in reality negative kinetic energy. So okay, if you have different metal, the first one is for cesium. I told you right. So cesium has very low work function value, that is 2.14 electron volts. If you take some other metal like sodium is also a metal. The work function value is 2.75 electron volt. And if you take another material, platinum has highest work function value, that is 5.65 electron volts. So this is the graph of the kinetic energy versus frequency. For all the three graphs, the slope represents the Planck's constant only. So this is the graph between kinetic energy and the frequency of incident photon. Now I want to draw the kinetic energy as a function of wavelength, 1 by wavelength versus kinetic energy. So this is Ke is equals to h nu minus h nu naught, and I can write frequency as c by lambda. Therefore Ke is equals to hc by lambda minus hc by lambda naught. Why lambda naught? Since we have h nu naught here, h nu naught can be written as h nu naught hc by lambda naught. So let me draw the graph here again. So this is kinetic energy. Again look at this expression. Ke is equals to hc by lambda minus hc by lambda naught. Look at this expression. This is also same thing, like y is equals to mx minus c graph. So here now the Y value is same, that is kinetic energy. C is also same, that is hc by lambda naught. Now what is M value? M is slope, right? So when you plot kinetic energy and 1 by lambda graph, you will get slope, and the slope is, what is slope? Hc is my slope here. So hc value, hc is the slope. In your exam sometimes he will ask the theoretical question, when you draw the graph between kinetic energy and 1 by wavelength, you can also sometimes ask in wave numbers also. So in the graph ke versus 1 by lambda, the slope of the graph represents, what is that, h into c, and it has some value, that is 1240 electron volts into nanometers. Sometimes in your exams he will not ask the slope, what is the physical meaning of the slope. Directly he will ask what is the value of that slope, whatever be the material, whether may be cesium or the material may be platinum, whatever be the material, the slope value is same. hc is equals to 12 1240 electron volt nanometers. If you want to convert into joules, you can convert 1 electron volt is equals to 1 electron volt is equals to how many joules? 1.6 10 power minus 19 joules, and 1 nanometer is equals to 10 power minus 9 meters. If you want, you can convert into other parameters also. Okay, so now what is the slope? hc is the slope. So this is for one metal. If you have two metals, for example sodium, the graph will be same thing, y is equals to mx minus c. For other metal also like this. So now here you have to focus on the slope. One thing is slope, all the metals have same slope, hc hc hc, all the value is also same, and this is known as your threshold wavelength, 1 over threshold wavelength 1 by lambda. As applied in the earlier cases, you just put k is equals to 0. Since k is equals to kinetic energy is 0 on the x-axis, then what will you get? hc by lambda here, and it is hc by lambda naught. Take this hc by lambda on the other side, so you will get hc by lambda is equals to hc by lambda naught. So you will get hc can get cancelled. So 1 by lambda is equals to 1 by lambda naught. That means we are taking 1 by lambda on x-axis, and whatever be the x-intercept, that will be 1 by lambda naught. If you plot the graph between kinetic energy versus frequency, you will get threshold frequency there. If you plot 1 by lambda versus kinetic energy, you will get 1 by threshold wavelength. So these are the important things. When photons of suitable energy, h nu, if you have one photon h nu, if you have n number of photons, so n h nu incident on a metal. So here the metal is a photocathode. On metal, photons of suitable energy incident on a metal, what will get? Electrons are ejected. So these electrons are moving in this direction. So this is an anode. This anode will attract the electrons. Why it will attract the electrons? Since the anode is connected to the positive of the battery. So this is a variable battery source. When it is a positive polarity, all the electrons try to come this side, right? So the electron motion is from anode to this battery. So the in the opposite direction, electrons are moving in this direction, then the current direction will be in opposite direction. So this represents the current direction. Electrons are moving like this. This is electron motion, but the current direction will be in opposite direction. So we can measure the photocurrent by using this setup. This setup is given by Heinrich Hertz. Heinrich Hertz considered one photocathode, and incident photons, electrons are collected on this anode plate, and he measured the current through this ammeter. If I reverse the polarity, initially this is minus and plus, so that electrons are moving like this, current is in opposite direction. If I change the polarity, because of negative polarity, negative charge here, the electrons will bounce back. Okay, the electrons will bounce back. Initially we have potential, positive potential. Now we give negative potential. The electron comes to this place, nearby this place, and again it will go back. If you increase the negative voltage, if you increase this negative voltage further, the electrons will eject like this, and at this place only they will return back. Further increase of this voltage, the electrons will not eject from the metal surface. The electrons will be here. So that means I can say that the kinetic energy of electrons becomes zero. Kinetic energy means zero, means the electrons are not ejected from the metal surface. They are not moving towards the anode. When there is a potential, and that potential is known as stopping potential, and I call it as V naught. So V naught is my stopping potential. At stopping potential, the kinetic energy of electrons is equals to 0. So I will write the same in an, I can show that in an expression like this. So have a look here. The kinetic energy is E into V naught is equals to half mv square. When E into V naught is equals to mc square by 2, then there will not be no electron ejected from this one. So the photocurrent is 0 in that case. So whatever be the potential V naught here, so that potential V naught is known as stopping potential, stopping the electrons. So we have this expression. Good. So what is Einstein's photoelectric equation? H nu is equals to H nu naught plus half mv square velocity square. For this expression only he got Nobel Prize. So I can write kinetic energy as 1 by 2 mv square, which is equals to H nu minus H nu naught. Now I can write E into V naught, stopping potential V naught, instead of kinetic energy. Then what I will get? I will get E V naught is equals to H nu minus H nu naught. Or stopping potential V naught can be written as H by E into nu minus H by E nu naught. So look at this expression. This is now in the same form. Y is equals to mx minus c. Here y is stopping potential, x is your frequency. What is the slope? H by E is the slope. And what is your c value? H nu naught by E is work function by E is the intercept here. Okay, so let us look all these things in the graph. So this is the first expression. I want to focus on this graphical representation. So since this is very important in all exams, all formats of the exams, Ke is equals to H nu minus H naught, you know that formula, right? So this is just like y is equals to mx minus c formula. So here my m will be, slope will be h, that is Planck constant, and this value is nu naught. We have calculated all these things. Ke is proportional to the stopping potential. The graph between kinetic energy and the frequency and stopping potential and frequency, they have similar behavior. Why? Because Ke is equals to EV naught. Okay, so we'll look at that one also. Next, velocity versus frequency graph. Kinetic energy is half mv square, right? So let me write the expression here, that is half mv square, which is equals to h nu minus h nu naught, right? So let me write v square. V square will be 2 into h nu minus 2 h nu naught divided by, if you want to divide with m, no problem. But I want to make the final thing, that is v square is proportional to the frequency. This is velocity square is proportional to the frequency. This one is fixed. The second term minus 2h by m we know that is fixed. Hy is constant value, mass m is also fixed, and what is nu naught, that is threshold frequency of a metal, is fixed. So that I can write where v square is proportional to the frequency. This is just like a parabolic equation. So when you have a parabola, y square is equals to 4ax. This is one form of parabola. Then this is y-axis and this is x-axis. The parabola will be like this. It will touch at this point. The focus, I can say the center, will be at this place. If we have parabola form like this, 4ax, some constant, then the parabola will be shifted. The shifted parabola will be like this. Same here, look at this expression, the velocity v square versus nu. We have a parabolic equation and there is constant is there. That's what I have shifted this parabola. And if you extend in the negative side, this is our parabola. But I am not considering the negative value because the velocity will not be negative anywhere. Okay, velocity is always positive, so you no need to take this side value. So this is the graph representing velocity versus frequency graph. So what is this graph? This is about stopping potential and the frequency. So you know h nu minus h nu naught is equals to kinetic energy, and kinetic energy is E into V naught. So I want stopping potential equation, that is h by E here, and this is nu, and this is h nu naught by E. So again this is in the form, it is in the form of y is equals to mx minus c. My y is stopping potential. Now what is the slope here? You just identify the slope. Slope is simply h by E. And what is this intercept value? This intercept value is work function h nu naught by E. Next, current and the intensity. I told you that current is represented with q by t or dq by dt, and q with the total charge I can write, that is n into E, the number of charge carriers. You can take n outside, so dE by dt is the current. If there are more number of electrons, more current. More number of electrons means what? If you have more photons, you will get more number of electrons ejected from the metal surface. So that means intensity is more, the current is more. If I ask you to draw the graph between current I and the frequency, so what will be the shape of the graph? The photocurrent depends upon the intensity only, provided that there must be some condition. Nu must be greater than nu naught. If the incident frequency is greater than the threshold frequency, then the photocurrent will be proportional to the intensity. Okay, if nu is less than nu naught, that means there will not be any photocurrent. Okay, so here the third graph, if I want to draw I versus nu, frequency of incident photon versus current, what will be the shape of the graph? It is independent of the frequency. You will get a straight line. Whatever be the frequency, if you increase the frequency, the kinetic energy of the electrons will increase, the velocity of the electrons will increase, but you will not get many number of electrons. The electron number is same. Okay, same electron number means same current, so I will be constant. What happens if you increase the voltage for different current? Before that, I want to draw the first current versus voltage graph. Okay, let us go back to the previous thing. There I will try to explain. So this is voltage, positive voltage and negative voltage. Now I want to draw the graph between voltage and the current. If you increase the voltage, the plus value is increasing here. Then what happens? The current value will increase like this. In the positive direction, the current value increases. If the more voltage is there, the electrons will easily come this side. Now if I change the polarity, minus and plus, the electrons will go back in opposite direction. That means the current value will decrease. How will you represent the decrease in the current value? The current value will decrease. At a particular value of voltage, that reverse voltage, the current is zero. Current is zero means the kinetic energy of the electrons will be zero, right? At this place, the kinetic energy of the electron is zero, and I can call this voltage as my stopping potential. So stopping potential is the reverse voltage applied to make the kinetic energy of electrons zero. So this V naught, if I want, I can write minus V naught. Minus V naught tells you that reverse voltage, reverse potential where the current is zero. Current is zero since electrons are not moving. So this is the graph between voltage versus, this is voltage versus I. So if we increase the frequency, what happens to these graphs? Let us have a look here. So the first graph is current versus voltage. So this is the graph. So when you increase the voltage in the positive direction, the current value increase, and at particular value it will get saturated. So this is when I3, I can write IS as saturated value. If you increase the positive voltage, current value increase, and finally it will get saturation. And how to make the current zero? If you stop the electrons, then the current will be zero. To stop the electrons, I have to apply the voltage in the reverse direction. Then current will decrease, and at a particular voltage, the current value becomes zero. At this place, the kinetic energy of the electron is zero, and that is known as stopping potential. Okay, so this is the first graph. Now let us look at the second graph, I2. If I3 is less than I2, That means I2 is more. If you have more intensity, the current will be more and will be saturated value. And you know that the stopping potential is independent of the intensity. So whatever be the intensities, whether it is I1 greater than I2, I2 greater than I3, the stopping potential value will be same. Since the stopping potential depends on the frequency, the stopping potential and the kinetic energy, the both functions depend on the frequency only. They are independent of the intensity. So further increase, you may get another saturated values like this. For different values, you will get saturated values like this, but the stopping potential is same. In other case, now this is the graph between photoelectric current and retarding potential. So this is again current versus, this graph is about current versus retarding potential. Let us have the look on the first graph. So for the first graph, this is the red one. I'm talking about the red one. You know that, right? This is saturation current. All the graphs will be like this, saturation values. If the voltage is positive, the current value will increase and we will get saturation value. This is known as saturation current. To get current zero value, we have to apply the voltage in the reverse direction, and in the reverse direction, at a particular voltage, the kinetic energy of the electrons will become zero, and that voltage is known as stopping potential. Okay, so this is for one frequency. If you change the frequency, now I'm talking about the green, the frequency value is different. The frequency is different from the frequency is different from the first one, then the stopping potential value will be increased. Since the stopping potential V naught is proportional to the frequency. If frequency is changing, for example V1, the stopping potential value will be V1. If frequency is changing V2, the stopping potential will be changed V2. If frequency is V3, nu 3, the stopping potential will be another thing. That means if you change the frequency, you will have different stopping potentials. But whatever be the saturation current, what about saturation current? The saturation, this is current, the maximum value is saturation current. Okay, this current is independent of frequency. Whatever be the frequency, current is fixed, but this current is dependent on intensity. Current is dependent on intensity I, independent of the frequency. You can have different frequencies, but saturation current is same. Stopping potential is dependent on frequency. Stopping potential is independent of intensity. So these are very important things. You should remember all these things. Okay, now it's time to do some problems. These are previous year's questions. So this is the first question. So the maximum kinetic energy of electrons in photoelectric effect depends upon. So I have given four options. The maximum kinetic energy Ke of photoelectrons depends upon, so you know the formula, h nu minus h nu naught. So don't bother about this function. This is work function. The work function of the metal is fixed. You cannot change it. This is the material property. So kinetic energy is simply proportional to frequency only. So the frequency of the incident light, that is the correct answer. Intensity of incident light, no. Nowhere kinetic energy is related to the intensity. But the current is related to the intensity. Okay, right. Angle of incidence, no. Polarization of the incident light, no. So what is the correct option? Option A is the correct one. So this is 1997 GATE question. Next, this is another question. When a monochromatic point source of light is at a distance of 0.2 2 meters from a photoelectric cell, the cutoff voltage is nothing but stopping potential only. The cutoff voltage or stopping potential both are same, and the saturation currents are represented by 0.6 volts and 18 milliamperes. If the same source is placed to 0.6 meters away from the photoelectric cell, then I will write here, this is my photoelectric cell, okay, and I incident some photons like this. A monochromatic source is there. So the distance from here to here is initially 0.2 meters. Then what we got, the cutoff voltage or stopping potential is 0.6 volts and the saturation current is given, Is is equals to 18 milliamperes. Now the same photoelectric cell is taken away from the point source, and the distance is, now the distance is 0.6 meters. So now here I have the point source. Now this distance is 0.6 meters. Now he is asking what are the values of starting potential and photocurrent. So look at the answers first. Given values is 0.6 volts stopping potential initially. Will there be any change in the stopping potential? The stopping potential V0 or Vs, you can write Vs in this problem, is proportional to or is dependent on the frequency only, no other parameter. Okay, stopping potential will depend on the frequency of the light source. So the frequency of light source is same, fixed. Frequency is fixed. You can move the point source to 0.6 meters or 6000 meters or 600 meters, any distance. The frequency of the source is fixed. Nu is fixed. Therefore, the stopping potential value also fixed. So given that stopping potential is 0.6 volts, look for the 6.0 volts. So in this case we have 0.6 volts, and in this option we have 0.6 volts. So from the given four options, A and D are looking like they are correct answers. Now what about the current? Okay, so the intensity will decrease, right? If you use a candle, this is my candle, it will have some photons, right? They will have some energy. If you stand nearby this place, the intensity will be more. Now if you displace it some other distance, what happens? The intensity of the candle will be less. What is the definition for the intensity, students? In the very first class I have given the formula. Intensity is nothing but power per area. What is the definition for power? Power is nothing but energy per time, and here area. So therefore intensity can be written as energy by time by area, or I can write intensity is proportional to area. So in this expression, in this problem, the photoelectric cell, generally the photoelectric plate will be in square, in be a square or rectangular shape. So it will have some area. So the intensity is proportional to R square. You should remember this one. Intensity is proportional to R square. And you know that, right? Intensity is proportional to the current. Current is proportional to the intensity. Therefore, at the final thing, I can write current is proportional to R square. R is the distance. Okay, sorry, here R is the distance, not the area, not the radius of the plate or something. R is the distance between the source and the photoelectric cell. Okay, so here first of all he given I initial. How much I initial is 18 milliamperes. So now he is asking I final. So now I'll write all these things here. Since I is proportional to 1 by R square, this is the basic equation. I want to calculate I final divided by I initial, current initial, is equals to, this is my R final, let me get RF square, and I initial will be 1 by R, sorry, I initial is equals to 1 by R initial. So here I'll get I initial square, but I want I final square, right? So this implies what is R initial? 2 meters. Initial value is 2 meters. So write 0.2 whole square. And R final is what? 0.6. This is 0.6 whole square. Okay. But I want I final only. So I final will be this value into I initial. Current initial current. Then what will you get? Current final will be 0.2 whole square divided by 0.6 whole square into I initial is how much? That is 18 milliampere. So you can write this is as 2 milliampere. So the final current is 2 milliamperes. There will not be any change in the stopping potential. There will not be any change in the cutoff voltage. And the current value is reduced to 2 milliamperes. So option A is the correct option. This is question number 3. This is also previous year's question. In photoelectric experiment, stream of photons of frequency nu and intensity I is incident on the photocathode to produce a photocurrent. We know that, right? This is the statement of photoelectric experiment. Okay. If the frequency is steadily reduced without any change of intensity, I is fixed. What is that, student? I is fixed. That means current is fixed. Okay. The plot of current versus nu looks like. The plot of current and frequency looks like. You know that, right? I have already explained the graph current versus frequency. This is a straight line you will get, provided that this frequency is greater than nu naught. If the incident frequency is more than the threshold frequency, then only we can collect the electrons. We can collect excited electrons. Then only we can find current. Okay, when nu is greater than nu naught. If nu is less than nu naught, then there will not be any current. Okay, so here when nu is greater than nu naught, current is constant with respect to nu. This is the known thing. Okay, so let us go back to the question again. In a photoelectric experiment, a stream of photons of frequency nu and intensity I is incident on the photocathode to produce current I. If the frequency is steadily reduced without any change of intensity, the plot of I versus nu looks like. I is fixed means current is fixed. Okay, this is the one thing you should remember. And this is I is fixed, current is fixed, provided that nu is greater than nu naught. If nu less than nu naught, current is 0. Okay, so look at this one, first one. This is my threshold frequency nu naught. When frequency nu is greater than nu naught, this is the case. This is the region where incident photon frequency is greater than the threshold frequency nu naught. In this region, the current is constant. Current is independent of the frequency. Okay, if nu is less than nu naught, the second region, nu less than nu naught, this second region, when nu less than nu naught, there will not be any current. So which one is the correct option here? Without looking at other graphs, so this is the correct one. So what about this one? I is proportional to nu. This is wrong. If here it is frequency, then it could be wrong. It could be right, provided that there must be the condition nu greater than nu naught. Okay, but here it is given I versus nu. So this is also wrong. This is correct. I versus nu is correct, provided that nu greater than nu naught. But he said that the frequency is steadily reduced. Here the frequency, see here, the frequency is decreasing. The frequency is decreasing. The frequency is decreasing. But there may be some threshold frequency, right? I will write this threshold frequency. At the threshold frequency, the current value drops to 0. Below the threshold frequency, there will not be any photocurrent. So this is the correct one. What is the difference between these A and C answers? If he mentioned that the frequency is also constant, if he mentioned that nu is greater than nu naught, then this is correct. But he said that the frequency is steadily reduced. That means there is a lower bound. If you say that the lower bound, below this one, the current value is 0. Above this one, the current value is constant. So you can find a step-like function here. So this is wrong. This is wrong. In this case, this is wrong. Okay. Then what about D? So, okay, this is C here. This is your threshold frequency. Below threshold frequency, current is 0, correct. But above threshold frequency, nu greater than nu naught, current will be a constant. It's not a variable function. So here it is decreasing like this. If it is like this, the first one like first one, so then it will be correct. Okay, but here we have some other behavior. So this is also wrong option. So what is the correct one? This is the correct answer. Okay students, I hope you understood this concept. Thanks for watching. We'll discuss Compton effect in the next class. Thank you very much.